Well, thanks very much, everybody. It's been great listening to everybody's talks. I'm Hywel Griffiths from Aberystwyth, and should say right at the beginning, I'm sort of representing the wider team here who's working on the on this project. So Marie Busfield, Tris Irvin Finn and Stephen Tooth from Aberystwyth, and then Jonathan Bridge and Naomi Holmes from Sheffield Hallam, and Dewi Roberts, who's an independent educational consultant as well. And I'd like to thank the BSG at the beginning here for funding this project, and also the Coleg Cymraeg Cenedlaethol and the National Eisteddfod that I'll come on to in a second. So in terms of context for the project, it's really arising from some of the concerns, I guess, that have been expressed in over the last 10, 15 years about the visibility of geomorphology, despite the fact that it's very relevant to key issues facing society. So some of those concerns expressed by Stephen Tooth and Jamie Woodward in various papers. And then the work of BSG working groups on visualizing geomorphology, looking at how you can use perhaps how artists and scientists can work together to promote geomorphology for mutual benefit, and then communicating geomorphology as well. And building on so the aspect that I'm more interested in around, can you more effectively present or make geomorphological information more accessible if you integrate it, I guess, with other types of information, so ecological information, cultural information, historical information, as hooks, if you like, to draw people into an interest in geomorphology. And this builds on some PhD work that Sioned Llywelyn did recently in Aberystwyth, looking at using audio tours, live performances and story maps. So, for example, of the Ilan Valley in Mid Wales, and audio tours of the Devil's Bridge waterfalls, to look at how you could do this effectively. And of course, there's, as we've seen today, there's many examples of digital and virtual outreach resources having been developed over recent years. And we, through various links, started working with or started discussing with the National Eisteddfod about what we could do in partnership with them. So the Eisteddfod's a week-long festival. It's happening now, actually, celebrating the Welsh language and culture. It's held in a different place every August, usually alternating between North and South Wales. It draws around about 150,000 visitors every year, including Welsh speakers, Welsh learners, and those who don't speak Welsh as well, and around 250 trade stands and stalls of various kinds. Traditionally, the Eisteddfod is focused around competitive activities, so music, art, and literature. But this has evolved to include a much wider variety of activities, including a dedicated science provision, including interactive displays and workshops, etc. And due to the pandemic, of course, the sort of live events were postponed, and an alternative online festival held in 2020 and this week. And last year, the virtual science provision reached around 17,000 people. It's due to return to a site-based festival in Tregaron in Ceredigion in 2022, so not too far from Aberystwyth here. And we started talking, looking at the sort of virtual provision, if you like, of the science activities, and thinking about what we could do in collaboration with the Eisteddfod to provide something for people who would have come to Ceredigion and enjoyed the landscape had they been coming to the Eisteddfod, but also sort of encouraging them to come next year in 2022. So we looked at the virtual tours, the various platforms that have been developed in recent years, driven by architecture, engineering, visualization, and particularly the property sector, to look at what we could use. And there's a number of them that are listed here. We looked at RoundMe, for example, and actually colleagues, Tris Irvin Finn has used RoundMe to develop a field trip of Cadair Idris for Year 3 glaciology students back in autumn of last year, sort of experimented with that platform, and we've looked at SeekBeak for these resources this summer. So SeekBeak is a really user-friendly, I found it very user-friendly, very intuitive image sphere or panosphere platform. It's got various levels of functionality and various price plans that you can choose depending on what you want to do. So this is a screenshot of the landing page, if you like, of the Tan y Bwlch virtual tour that we've developed. So the project objectives that we had was to create 6 open access, bilingual, sort of virtual and interactive geomorphological tours 4 locations within a short distance of Tregaron here in Mid Wales, and hopefully using that then to increase virtual and eventually in-person tourism to these sites, enriching the tourist experience through blending explanations of geomorphology with other information, so history and culture, as I mentioned earlier. And hopefully then to increase public understanding of geomorphology, its relevance to global issues and society, locally and globally there, and also to establish a new collaboration between the BSG and the Eisteddfod, and to make these free online tours available on the BSG website. So we've looked at 3 sites this summer. One of them is Grogwynion, which is a wandering reach of the Ystwyth River, very dynamic, lots of fluvial features, historical mining impact, and it's a SSSI and a special area of conservation based on a shingle heath ecosystem. Tan y Bwlch Beach near Aberystwyth, which is a gravel ridge. The Ystwyth flows parallel to the beach. There's obviously a floodplain. There's a rocky shore platform. Again, it's a SSSI based on ecology and geology. And there are a number of future management questions around this site. And then Cwm D is a large cwm and what we think is a sort of post-glacial landslide deposit, which has an incised stream, boulder berms, scree, peat deposits on the uplands as well. And all 3 of those have very interesting heritage, cultural and archaeological aspects. Next year, we hope to look at 3 other sites, so Cors Caron, peat bog, and the Afon Teifi, which flows through it, Devil's Bridge, which is a series of waterfalls and potholes, and a very interesting sort of river landscape evolution story, and then Ynys Las, sand dunes, and the Afon Dyfi estuary and buried forest. So the progress thus far, June, we collected the imagery with a GoPro camera, built the tours then last month, and today actually the tours go live on the Eisteddfod website. What we hope to do in the next few months is collect feedback and then revisit the 3 sites that we've already done to improve them, take that feedback on board and as I say, make them better. Next year, collect new imagery and create the remaining tours, and then release those then in the spring. And hopefully then in August of next year, we'll have an exhibition at the Eisteddfod and collect more feedback and evaluate whether this SeekBeak platform is effective in what we're trying to do. So for the 3 tours, they're basically based on 9 or 10 scenes or snaps, to use the SeekBeak terminology, an image sphere orientated to sort of the best initial view, and then linked along a linear path through the site. Each site or scene has a box with 150 words of text, images, links to papers, online resources, etc. Some of additional images, stills dotted around, and then there's a map of all the various scenes available on the right-hand side of the screen. So just to give you a quick idea of what those look like, and you're welcome to try and sort of snap the QR code there, or I can make them available later as well. So this is Grogwynion. This is Tan y Bwlch, which you've already seen. And then this is Cwm D here finally. So yeah, you're welcome to snap that QR code if you want to see, if you want sort of to visit that particular tour. there. So just to finish on some preliminary thoughts really of my experience of doing this for the first time. As I say, the platform itself, SeekBeak, seems a very user-friendly and intuitive system for creating these virtual tours. It's relatively cheap, it's accessible, it's inclusive. I think there is potential to build in much more functionality than we've done thus far. You can update and revise the material, you can include audio and video. For virtual platforms generally, I guess there is a potential risk of, how long are they going to be around for, updates to the various types of software, etc. But thus far, SeekBeak seems very, very reliable. And as a creator of the tour, the process of sort of researching and interpreting these landforms and doing the fieldwork really, and learning about the landforms really emphasize the joy and enchantment really that you can get through fieldwork and research. So it's been a really valuable experience for me, and hopefully that'll be translated to the audience that we're aiming for, which is the people that would normally perhaps come to the Eisteddfod, who are interested in landscape, not necessarily geomorphology, but all the various things that link to that geomorphology, like natural history, ecology, culture, etc. So thanks very much for listening. Hopefully I've stuck just about to time. Please do get in touch if you have any questions, and thanks again to everybody who's working on this project.